You're listening to the Cartoonist Podcast. Here are your hosts, Ricky Smith and Jacob Hood.
How's it going, guys? This is Jacob Hood.
And I'm Ricky Smith. And we are
The Cartoonists. Hey, so Ricky.
Yeah.
It occurred to me that this is our first podcast. Can you believe that?
I guess it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, so why don't you share just a little bit about yourself?
What, the first day of school?
Yeah, give a fun fact about yourself to the class.
Okay, sure. Well, I was born in 1995 when I was hatched from an egg.
No. I mean, like, about what you do, like as a cartoonist.
Oh. Okay, well, I'm a cartoonist. I was still born in 1995. I'm really into, like, I guess 90s style animation. I'm really into, like, kind of like the wacky, kind of fun looking stuff. I'm also a voice actor as well, as you can tell from my epic voice. Yeah, I've been drawing forever. I think since I was, like, 3 years old. Anything I saw on TV, I pretty much copied. Whether it be, like, Rugrats, Dexter, Ruckus Modern Life, or even The Wacky Adventure of Ron McDonald. There's been so many different things that have influenced my style. I've been drawing ever since. I'm also really into writing and directing, and hopefully I can make a career out of it one day. What about you, Jacob?
Yeah, so the way I always describe what I do is I love bringing my imagination to life. And I know that sounds super broad, but essentially what I mean by that is really any type of creative media or storytelling, like cartooning, animation, filmmaking in general, writing. Yeah, just in any way I can make my imagination real is, that's what I do. I would say that, no surprise here, but Disney has sort of been my biggest influence. I'm also a big fan of late 90s, early 2000s Cartoon Network. And yeah, I've been drawing basically since I can remember. So.
Yeah.
So, Ricky, I want to ask you a question, and
Sure,
I think this might allow for some interesting conversation. So, a while ago, and if you're listening to this, you know who you are. I'm going to throw you under the bus just a little bit. But, yeah, we have a friend who I was hanging out with one day, and I forgot what we were talking about, but he said something that interested me. He was talking about how he is not really a huge fan of animated movies, and I asked, like, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, there's only really so much that I can take, because the way he said it was essentially it's a medium for kids.
Right.
That it's something that, I don't know if he didn't say it's an acquired taste, but it's something that he said he can only take so much of. And I'm sure you can imagine I turned into a full-on man-child and lectured him on how wrong he was. But
I forget if I was there when that's happened, because, like, this sounds very familiar, the situation when this happened. Because, like,
yeah,
that is a huge controversy when it comes to, like, animated movies, because, like, I hate to say it, but many movies, like, let's just say the little yellow creatures, I don't want to say their names just in case any Minion fans, okay, I just said it, are listening. But, like, movies like that don't have, like, a lot of, like, I guess, not really content, but like a real, like, story that has, I guess, meaning to it. It's more just kind of cute to sell toys. That can be seen as a kid movie. I will definitely say that. But, like, a movie like Iron Giant or, like, any of the Pixar movies, aside from Cars 2.
Ricky, you are offending so many people listening.
I know, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'll have you know, I am a huge fan of Cars 2.
Really?
Actually, you know, when I saw it, I didn't like hate it or anything.
Well, me neither. I don't know why everyone's going crazy over it. But no, that's not the point. We're going after the Minions right now. Basically,
I love you, Pixar. Please don't get mad at me.
Yeah, no, I like Pixar as well. Anyway, I was just saying, like, certain movies that have, like, more of a story to it or more of a moral, I guess. Like, not saying, like, all movies have that morals to it for kids, but, like, it's not necessarily, like, adult humor that makes a movie good for adults, because obviously, like, adult humor doesn't always mean it's for adults, because it can be, like, you know, it makes them more childish. But, like, at the same time, I believe, like a movie like Shrek, I'm a huge fan of Shrek, and I feel like Shrek has a nice blend of, like, some adult, like, moments, but at the same time, it's a family-friendly movie. I think the best way to describe it has to be family-friendly, not necessarily for kids, necessarily for adults. It's just, like, in the middle. And, like, the best way to look at it would be looking at shows like Muppets or Looney Tunes and seeing how, like, the creators, they want to make shows for themselves and, like, find things that they find funny, but they still happen to be, like, kid appropriate. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that they're trying to write it for a kid, and like it's like talks down to them. It's like they talk to kids like they're smart. Like don't talk down to them like they're like like they're below them and stuff. And like usually the best content comes out of that when creators are able to make something that's universally loved, and like usually this kind of shows have longevity and shows that usually are like kind of more niche. No matter if it's for adults or for kids, it's kind of more hard to like have that lasting for a long time.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you said, and I think that when our friend, who we will not say his name, but no, when he initially said that really interested me, because I've always and tell me if you agree with this, but I've always viewed animation as a medium, not as a genre.
Right.
I think that one thing that, like with the Oscars, for example, it kind of surprises me how animation is a category when it's like, well, would you create a category based on like the type of camera that you use? And I know it's different.
Wow, that's
from
a good
that,
point.
but
Wow.
I guess for me, the way I look at it is when people say that animation or animated movies are kids' movies. I don't think, I'm not trying to talk down to kids. I think that that's fine, but at the same time, I think it's kind of, it's a little bit insulting at the same time, because if you said, oh, hey, I'm going to go see this movie and it's an adult movie, that definitely means do not bring kids to it.
Right.
If it's an adult movie, that means like exclusively for adults. And so when people say, I'm going to go see this kids movie, like, well, does that mean it's exclusively for kids? Maybe I'm thinking too hard about it, but I think that that's where some of the connotations come from. Where it's just the label kids movie sounds like exclusively for kids.
Well, anything that's animated, unless it's like extreme, like Sausage Party or anything like that, is assumed as a kids movie.
Which, okay, so what irritates me about that is there are so many examples of animation for adults, like specifically for adults. I mean, I said South Park.
Family Guy and Simpsons.
That's debatable, but yeah, no, Simpsons. Like really, anything on Adult Swim, like Rick and Morty.
Central,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. This especially those two networks. But yeah, I think those are so established, and we don't think twice about it. It's like, oh well, okay, that's nothing new. Adult animated stuff,
Right.
But with Sausage Party, what was funny is that people seemed to freak out about it more because it had that polished...
I was so shocked when I first found out that it was an adult movie, because I remember, like, I just saw on Facebook or something like that, and I had no clue what it was going into it, and I just kind of, like, clicked on the video, and...
it is
when I got to that
shocking,
part, when I got to that one part with, like, the potato in the trailer.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? What? Did you not? He did not just say that.
They're eating children!
He did not just say that. And I was just, I was so shocked to see that. But the movie overall was pretty good, I think.
I think it was just a gimmick. Not a gimmick. I don't want to say a gimmick, but I think the animation style was a gimmick because they were obviously trying to create a Pixar-type movie. And I can't think of another example, at least not off the top of my head, where there's a really nice, polished-looking CGI film that is for adults. And I think after Sausage Party, I'm not going to say it's going to set a new trend, because I haven't seen really other examples after that, but I think it maybe normalizes it, just like how like The Simpsons normalized adult cartoons,
like a family sitcom type thing.
Yeah, exactly. How like you don't
animated.
think twice about it, but at the time it was like this big kind of shocking deal.
I bet.
So
I saw like there's a trailer. I think it's by the same studio that made Sausage Party. Tell me if you've seen this too. It's like this like Muppet parody type thing.
Oh yeah, it's
I'm not sure what it's called, but I saw it the other day.
Happy Time Murders?
Yeah.
Let me look that up. Actually, I think that's what it's called. Happy Time Murders.
Yeah, I'm not sure like how exactly I felt about that, because like it seemed like it was it's really a funny idea at first, but like I feel like the adult humor was
It is Happy Time Murders.
It's a bit too extreme, I feel like, because I feel like they're trying too hard to make it like adult. I don't know if that's just maybe my first look at the trailer. I mean, maybe it'd be better when the actual movie happens, but like I don't know. I just
Avenue Q is the
like,
thing. Like that's.
I felt like it would have been funnier if it was like,
Sesame Street, but like adult. That's already been done. So I don't know.
I don't know. The idea is not extremely original, but like, I don't know. Again, like I said, probably to see it in theaters in order to give a full opinion on that. When does that come out? Is that this year or?
I'm not sure. Actually, I saw some of the visual effects artists working on that when I was.
No way.
Yeah, when I was at Stargate.
Oh wow.
No, it's
that's cool.
That's actually how I found out about it. And then when I saw it advertised, it's like, oh, hey, I saw that.
Yeah, I saw it on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that shock value is another thing that goes into what people consider like adult. Like The Simpsons, for example. I don't think that would traumatize a kid if you showed them an episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
You know, that's especially
certain moments that you may want to like, yeah. Because, I mean, I think I watched a few episodes when I was a kid, but most of the part, like,
it's...
My dad didn't really let me watch it that much because he watched The Simpsons a lot, same with Family Guy, and, like...
It's pretty
You always feel so
like,
adult when you get to sneak and watch those, because I'll never forget the first time I snuck and watched Family Guy. It had it, like, on my PSP, and it was, like, a free episode you can download, so I downloaded it and watched it, and... It was like Peter drinking Red Bull or something like that, and like it was the funniest thing when I was a kid, and like I don't know. I think it's just
Family Guy's animation. I thought they just plugged in numbers and it automated an episode. Like, oh no, it was manatees. Yeah.
Well, that's South Park who did that.
Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful episode.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen that one. Yeah, I remember that. But I don't know. I think it was just the whole like feeling like it's kind of like using swear words when you're a little kid, kind of like you're like, oh wow, I get to like. You know, be a grown-up first day, like.
Yeah, I know that this isn't animated, but it kind of reminds me of the Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers.
Yeah.
You know, I actually kind of love that movie just because it's sort of like, okay, so imagine if you were in the forest and a Sasquatch walked out in front of you, and it's the feeling you get when you see that, because it's like I'm looking at something that shouldn't exist. I'm looking at something that, like, by all accounts, should not be real.
So you don't really like it. It's more you like it in a ironic way.
I think I'm fascinated by it. I think that's how I would put it.
All right.
But no, what the example I was going to give was, it's. I think the filmmakers with the Cat in the Hat were trying to create something that appealed to both kids and adults. I think they looked at this property and they thought, oh, this is something that. Like, no shame in this, but it is definitely more exclusively for kids because it's like an early readers type thing.
Right.
The original Cat in the Hat book. And so I think they looked at that and they thought, we got to make this edgy. We gotta make this more adult. And they didn't really know how to do that in an intelligent way. Like, if you look at, say, Toy Story, that's a good example, actually.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of dirty jokes in that, but it's very subtle and it doesn't feel... I guess one thing that interests me about like adult humor in, you know, quote unquote kids movies is when it's done poorly, like The Cat in the Hat, for example, it actually makes it way more childish.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Because a kid is going to find dirty jokes just for the sake of it being a dirty joke funny, whereas an adult is going to look at it and say, okay, great, you know, he made I'll keep it clean, but he made a joke about a certain body part being like, you know, his hat or whatever.
Oh, I remember that part.
Oh god.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Oh, I can't believe that actually made it into the movie. I remember like the first time. I remember the movie like being released. I was in 3rd grade, and our teacher was like, a librarian was reading us Cat in the Hat, and she was saying how she didn't believe that Dr. Seuss really appreciated this movie because he kind of like kills the idea of like what he originally wanted to happen, as you say, the spirit of the Cat in the Hat.
Right. Yeah.
And at the time, I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, I think the movie's good. And looking back now, I totally agree with that. I mean, I don't know if I'm really that fascinated with it. I remember as a kid, I watched it a lot. But, like, I think it's because we had it on DVD, and that's all we had to watch. I'll never forget this one part where he cuts off his tail, and they censor him right when he's about to say a certain word. And my dad heard it, and he's like, "What are you guys watching back there?" And
I like how we're in our 20s, but like we're so awkward, like when describing the inappropriate things in the Cat in the Hat.
And like, yeah, we had to play it off. So like, "That's the Cat in the Hat." He's like, "That's the Cat in the Hat? What?" And we were just like, it's not what you expect to be in a Cat in the Hat movie. And just that part right there just kind of like shows that movie probably shouldn't have been made, or if made, animated. And speaking of which, it's a good segue into like future movies like The Grinch coming up soon.
Oh yeah, I have a few thoughts.
I, for one, actually am a huge fan of the original Grinch movie. When I say original, I mean the 2001 one. I do also enjoy the Chuck Jones one, but I mean like theatrically released. But like it gets a bad rap, I think. I mean, like a lot of people don't really like the movie that much because it's kind of like, as I say, ugly and stuff. I don't know. I feel like the Grinch, his character himself, he's kind of like, I mean, no offense to the Grinch, of course, but he's supposed to be like an ugly character, and I feel like the world that they set up for Whoville with the Grinch kind of worked well, and like Jim Carrey's performance was just amazing in that, and I don't know, I really like that movie a lot. I feel like he's like Jim Carrey's like a really good actor when it comes to like being really animated. So like that suit works really well with like his movements and all, versus how it was with like I don't want to say like Jim Carrey should play both, but that'd been really funny to see Jim Carrey's take on the Cat in the Hat as well. Like because I mean he was popular enough to have gotten both roles if he really wanted to, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so the movie that's coming up this year, I think it's this year. Yes, it's this year.
Yeah.
New Cat in the Hat movie. What do you think about it, Jacob?
Part of the new Grinch movie.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, new Grinch movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, not to be a.
No, you're good.
Nerdy super. Oh, did you mean this?
Yeah. Fact check me.
So my girlfriend is really. She's a huge fan of the original Chuck Jones Grinch, and I mean it's. I wouldn't say that it's a perfect short, but I mean it's one of those shorts that it's so classic that
right.
even if there are like little flaws in it, who cares? It's perfect because it is what it is. And I went through phases with the Jim Carrey one. I think honestly the biggest problem I have with it is the colors are ugly. It's just like the
yeah, but come on, I just said it. It's an ugly character. I don't know. I feel like it's. No, sorry, it's your opinion.
No,
your opinion. Go ahead.
It's well, no, it's not just the Grinch though. It's like he's supposed to be sort of like a like a vomit green type
right.
color, and then like later on he becomes like more. Actually, maybe not. Maybe I'm imagining that.
Yeah, I think you're imagining that. I mean, that'd be a cool visual though. To be honest.
Anyway,
like, I feel like that would be cool though.
No, I think there are. I don't want to say problems because it's subjective, but I have a few problems with it. But it is what it is. That's kind of a non-answer, but I guess I don't have super.
But the new one now.
Yeah, the new one. Sorry,
yeah.
This is an animation podcast, in case you guys forgot.
And more.
Yeah. So when I saw the character design for it, I didn't even have to think about it. It's like, oh, that's Illumination. Like just immediately you look at that, and the character design is Illumination. And what's sad about that is. Of course, I saw it and I thought, oh, that's the Grinch, but
did they make Lorax as well? Was it the same studio that made Lorax?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, he does look like a Lorax character.
Yeah.
And also, what was it? Horny Who's a Who as well, I think.
Oh, that was 20th Century Fox. That was.
You're right. Yes, that is true. But
at
the same time, it looks like the same. Like I mean, I feel like the. Okay, let me ask you this: do you think like the live action Dr. Seuss looks better? Like not the movie itself, but visual wise, do you think it looks better than like the new CGI movies that have been coming out? Like,
oh man,
what was better? Do you think like the costume? Because there's only two of them, but like, do you think the Grinch's like overall design as live action character is better than
here's the thing,
as animated?
Even if that was Jim Carrey in green fur, like he became the Grinch. Like,
right.
I don't care if you don't like the performance.
Yeah.
He like just became that character.
Right.
And you look at that, and even if the design isn't exactly like the Grinches that came before him, I'm going to say that thing again. He captured the spirit of the Grinch so well. And that smile he did was just
that's so great. Yeah.
He was probably cast just because he could do that smile. Like
no, really.
that was so perfect. And I look at this new Grinch, and it's like, okay, Illumination, which
he's British now. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, I love Benedict Cumberbatch, but like,
no, I have no problem.
But why? You know what I mean? Like, it does not make sense.
The casting
for the Grinch.
the casting could work, but
yeah,
like I remember thinking, and like, my girlfriend and I were when it first came out, we were looking at it and analyzing it. That's my nice way of saying ripping it to pieces. We were looking at it, and the biggest problem that I have is that he's not expressive enough. His like when he yells for Max, like when he can't. I think it was like the alarm clock isn't working or something.
Oh, I remember
like
that. Yeah.
And he yells for Max, and like he barely opens his mouth, and it's like this character is supposed to be like the definition of exaggeration and off the wall, like he's this despicable, diabolical character that just loves being mean. Like that's his entire character, and he's so exaggerated and cartoonish that you would think that an animated version of him would be cartoonish. Like,
yeah, even more so. Like
that's
like he's stretching realms even more than the live action one.
Yeah. So I don't know. One thing, and this is completely off topic, but one thing that kind of bugs me about Illumination is that their color correction is always the same.
Yeah.
Their color correction, it always looks like every shot in Illumination movies, it looks like it was filmed in like late afternoon. It kind of has that orange.
Yeah, I can see that.
Why is that?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like you have like the town of Whoville. It's supposed to be very blue and cold, and like, why did you? I don't know. I get that's a nitpick though. I really
did
can't.
notice that. That's really interesting.
I can't get too mad. That's one of those things. Like someone's gonna hear this and be like, okay, like he is very particular about.
Well, hey, look, man, it's an opinionated
yeah, it's true. And
show.
Again, this is subjective. Like you can,
definitely.
If you disagree with us, we would absolutely love to hear it. Like we would love to have a conversation with you about that, because we're not here to shoot you down. We're here to be civilized.
Yeah, we love all opinions. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we're all lovers of cartoons.
Yeah, equal opportunity. Yeah, criticism stuff. Yeah.
I think that we're self-aware enough that we're not going to be total fanboys. You know, we're fanboys, but not to the point where it's like we can't have a conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. Nope. So, Jacob, I heard this new ThunderCats show.
Oh yeah. I heard about that. I saw the trailer. Have you seen the trailer?
Yeah, I actually saw it recently. I haven't really seen like the original ThunderCats show before. I just know like the overall style was like very realistic looking and stuff. Like
yeah,
it's
well, I mean, you know, as realistic as like a beefcake is going to be a cartoon beefcake.
Well, you know,
yeah, no, I'm not really an expert
Thundercat
by
man.
any chance now, but no, I actually think I know more about the fan reaction to the new one than I do the original shows.
Wow.
Wow, yeah. I don't know. Like, do you have any thoughts on? Because everyone is kind of freaking out about how this is just Teen Titans Go. It's just the same style.
Well, it's the part of the trend right now. I mean, like so many shows right now, whether it be like Gumball, Steven Universe, or what is it, Star?
Oh yeah, Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with those shows, like the content of them. But I'm just saying, like I've noticed, like the very simplistic style a lot of these shows have adapted right now. Is like I'm sure it's like used for a certain purpose. Like the animation's probably like a lot
it's
more.
the CalArt style, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like in the past few years, I think since like maybe like 2010s, I've seen nothing but that kind of style. I mean, there's a few shows that kind of devoid from that style, but like for the most part, it was always like the same constant look. I mean, like I remember you sent me a GIF recently, and it showed like
the morphing faces.
How many faces? And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, there's no way all the shows look the exact same. And like,
well, it's basically like what were you saying earlier? It was like a mitten. It's like the head shape is like
it's like a mitten almost. Because like if you think about the way a mitten looks, it's like it has a little rounded part on top and then a little like cheek side that goes on right for your thumb. And like that's how so many of these characters are designed now. A little
and
mouth,
the smile, it's kind of the.
It takes up the whole entire like.
It's kind
half
of like
the face,
a worm,
almost.
I guess. It's sort of like this rounded thing, and
or banana or something like that. Like, yeah, it's weird because like, I mean, at the same time, it's not the first time this has happened where like many shows have had the same look. Like you look back all the way in the early like, like 1920s, the first days of like animation and all. Like so many cartoons during that time have had the same look. Like there's so many Mickey Mouse copycats, I guess.
Well, like Felix the Cat and Mickey, like you look at their early designs.
Yeah,
like,
it's
the original, like plain crazy
the
Mickey,
little pie eyes and stuff. Like
or like the giant circular eyes.
Right.
Yeah. No, those were basically cookie cutter designs.
Yeah, and then like just throughout time,
we revere those as classics. We don't criticize those because how could you? And I think I don't know. I mean, it's really something that only time is going to tell how well this stands. But I think as long as these shows are high quality shows, and most of these are, you know, like you mentioned Star versus the Forces of Evil,
and also Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls also.
Yeah, Gravity Falls. Even like or Steven Universe, or like even to an extent, Adventure Time. Like I think Adventure Time was in a way what started this.
It's a bit different because they have dot eyes and like they're a bit more simple. They're actually even more simple, I feel like.
But yeah, I think it popularized the more simplistic.
Exactly. Yeah, I would say the simple,
like giant head style. I'm probably not explaining this very well. But
yeah.
No, if you, I'm sure you guys know what we're talking about. I've just heard it referred to as the CalArt style, which I don't know. I guess that makes sense, but I think it's a little bit more than that. I think like it's very specifically maybe we should call it the mitten style, because that's basically what it is.
I kind of like that better, the mitten style. It was just kind of be funny when I said that too, because like it looks like a mitten. I don't know, like yeah, but like I said before, it's been having a lot, and I feel like in the future there'll be even more copycat designs that a lot of people find and like to attach to as well.
Well, I'm glad that it's the trend that we're in now is that, because it's like, well, yeah, it's kind of annoying how every show looks.
Hey, at least not everything's Flash anymore like the mid-2000s.
Hey, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, at least it's not like Johnny Test.
Yeah, or anything on PBS Kids. I grew up on PBS Kids shows, but like literally every show on there is Flash.
Yeah.
And even Arthur used to be hand drawn. Now it's Flash. I can't stand it anymore. I'm like,
that is.
It looks
rough.
so bad now.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Arthur has good
Arthur was
writing.
so good, yeah. And like, I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched Arthur in years, of course, but like, I mean, the writing could still be good, but like,
yeah,
just the Flash animation. I think Fairly Odd Parents. It's recently been canceled. Recipes Fairly Odd Parents, but I noticed towards like the end of the series, a lot of their animation went to Flash, and I feel like the style that they're drawing in fits well with Flash, but it's just so much different from what it was originally that I don't really know like if it was good to switch. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure it was cheaper for them.
It's very jarring.
Because like
hashtag Flash is trash.
Yeah.
No, don't actually hashtag that.
I noticed like someone pointed out how like lazy they got towards the end of the season. So where like this one episode where they were camping and there's a bear that was laughing and all his mouth did was go up and down, up and down. There's 2 frames repeated back and forth. There's no in between frames at all. And you could obviously tell that like even without like freezing it or anything, he just like goes up down when he's laughing, and like it just looked awkward.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's really sad. And the thing is like. I totally don't want to rip on Fairly Odd Parents because it's a great show.
Oh, definitely. I love Fairly Odd Parents.
It's disappointing, and I guess from a financial standpoint, like, it's more cost effective. But I mean, if you have to convert a classic show to Flash, I mean, it's on life support. You really just need to pull the plug. I mean, can you imagine SpongeBob on Flash?
It's coming soon, I bet. I'm kidding.
No, I'm not even like...
Yeah.
Actually, no, because Steven Hillenburg, I don't think he would let that happen.
I guess that's true, yeah.
So I take that back.
Are there other shows that have done that? I mean, so Arthur, Fairly Odd Parents, is there anything else that...
Caillou.
It was Flash?
Yeah.
Did it?
It looks really bad.
When? Does it still come on?
Yeah.
No way!
Yeah, so...
wow, I remember the only part of Caillou I actually liked. There's a few things... Alright, so talk about Caillou for now. A few things I... actually kind of sort of quote-unquote liked
Speaking of
Caillou.
kids shows. Sorry.
The puppet part at the very beginning, I thought that was so interesting how their puppets to start off with, like little like his stuffed animals were alive. And
Yeah.
I don't know, something about that I've always liked the whole idea of like characters coming to life.
But they don't
and stuff.
have that. Yeah, they don't have the
But
real
if that was a
life
whole
versions.
show, I would love that was a whole show. It was just them as puppets. But one thing I always known about Caillou, it's not his character. I can care less about that. It was the backgrounds.
Oh, how they...
The backgrounds
they have,
annoy
like,
me so much. Why did they finish
the gradient
it?
white, yeah.
Wait, what?
Or is it gradient, or is it just kind of like...
No, I mean how they never finished it. Like
Yeah, like the white border, I mean.
Yeah, and it always like annoyed me so much that the characters would walk outside the borders, like kind of breaking that like fourth wall almost. Like you could tell that there's stuff. I know it's part of like their style, but at the same time, like it didn't work. I'm like, no, just finish the rest of it. I mean, it's supposed to look like a book, I guess. Like you know, books like they have like the outlines where it stops.
Right.
Kind of, yeah, and I guess that's...
But it takes you out of it because it constantly reminds you that
you're looking at
it's a story, that it's not real, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, sorry, we're getting super off topic. Yeah, I bet you thought we were going to talk about ThunderCats. Today's the Caillou show, everyone.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, the entire ThunderCats thing, I get it. I get why people are outraged about it. I'm trying to think of a show that I was really passionate about as a younger kid.
Powerpuff Girls? Did you
Oh, well,
that?
they actually did that. They did reboot that.
Yeah, I already said you
So I
liked
guess
it.
that's a comparable thing. But
yeah,
wow, I really don't want to be negative here.
it is opinionated.
We're talking about ThunderCats.
Show,
We're talking about ThunderCats. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't mean to clickbait you guys. Yeah, it's. I would say give it a chance, but I think from what I've seen, it really is that same old thing I keep saying. It's just completely missing the spirit, and I think the point of the original show.
Uh-huh.
But who knows? Maybe not. Maybe it's they're just using the new style as a cheap way to not only cut down on animation costs. Maybe they're just trying to appeal to a new generation. Like,
Well,
maybe,
if they
sorry.
found a way, like you said, Adventure Time, like to make it like an adventure show, I guess, and like still have the same like themes and
Right, yeah.
as you say, spirit of the old one, no matter what the animation is, even if it's stick figures. I'm kidding.
Yeah, don't give them ideas, Ricky.
As long as it's like it still has the same like good storyline. So I always say like one of my favorite shows. It wasn't really like a full on show, but Kablam. The animation on there was horrible, but like the writing was so funny that I didn't care. Like you don't have to like have great animation to make a great show.
Oh, no.
Like, because there's so many shows that are like in movies too that have great CGI, like super great detail. You see like every single like fur or feather or whatever on it, but like the writing's not good on it. And you're like, doesn't matter. So,
well,
I feel like it should be a nice blend, but like at the same time, writing over style. I feel like
right. Going back to South Park, I think that's like the ultimate example of amazing writing and horrible animation. But the horrible animation, like the backgrounds, for example, like the
backgrounds are so weird. How they look good sometimes, and sometimes they're like
it's almost like it's become they try to make it intentionally crappy, but you can tell a lot of effort went into it. It's I don't know. It's kind of hard to pinpoint what the South Park style is. It's intentionally crappy in a good way.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay. I guess that works. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, back. I'm sorry. I don't know. This entire ThunderCats thing. I keep my mind is wandering. But I would say let's give it a chance. Maybe not. Maybe be wary of it, but I would say give it a chance because you brought up a great point about Adventure Time. How on the surface that looks like that looks like something a kid would doodle in.
Oh, definitely.
Seventh grade math class. But
yeah.
No, like that. There is great storytelling. There is very epic storytelling, and I think maybe what they're doing is they want to do something similar where they're using a style that is going to appeal to a younger generation. Where like the people who made it loved the original show, and they thought like, how do we bring this to a new generation so that like it appeals to them? But then when they get invested in it, it's this is true to the original.
I'm not sure how well like a fully detailed looking animation will look nowadays. Like unless it was Flash, because I know like
that would be
they recently had like that He-Man commercial for Geico. Have you seen that?
Yes,
like,
I have actually.
Yeah, and I noticed like how they kept the same like look of it, but it was Flash. But it looked fine as Flash, and like I don't know if that would actually catch on like a full-on series more than just like a parody.
There was a show within the last
Archer
few
does
years.
that. Archer does that.
Yeah, Archer, but it was sort of a He-Man parody where it was like...
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was like... what
was that show called?
Son of Zorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
They could... Well, I just feel like if they're...
Did that never catch on? Because I watched like 2 episodes of it. I didn't really watch it that much. I remember like... I thought it was an awesome like concept when it first came out. I don't think it really caught on.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like
I'm in the same boat where it seemed like a cool concept, but
great concepts. Like
I never actually
came from a different world, and he had to live in our world and stuff.
Maybe that's the problem. Is people thought, oh, that's great, and maybe that's honestly, maybe that's at the core of the problem with like modern animation styles is because like people like the idea of going back and doing something nostalgic, but it doesn't really apply to today's audiences. Like you could do ThunderCats. And they did recently. They did the reboot, however many years ago. But I think what they're doing is they realize that that's not going to catch on with today's audiences. And like, yeah, of course, it would be cool to people who grew up with the original shows, but it's just not practical. I guess the thing that I understand that, and yeah, it's disappointing how the style looks so overdone. It looks kind of lazy. If it was like the first of its kind, I'd say, oh, that's kind of cool. It's not Flash, but yeah, I think the biggest problem that I had with it, and again, this is coming from someone who was not invested in the original show, so
yeah,
don't strike me down for not knowing what I'm talking about. But the biggest problem I have is that the tone is so silly, and it really just isn't the same character. I think that's going to ultimately be a problem. Whereas you can work around a different style, even if it is cliche and overused and whatever. But it really is just
it looks like Steven Universe
character
with
and story. That's the two most important things. No, it is. It's the two most important things in really any animated project or really any story is the quality of the characters and the quality of the actual story. Hopefully, I said that eloquently, but
yeah,
yeah, and I think that if those two things don't live up to the original ThunderCats, I think that's where it's going to fail.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see.
All right, well, it's our first episode of The Cartoonists. Jacob, how do you think we did?
I don't know. Why don't you guys tell us?
Yeah, leave them down in the comment section below. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and hopefully we can address in the next episode.
Yeah, and if you guys have anything to contribute to the conversation, we'd love to hear from you.
Or any suggestions for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, thanks, guys.